Now, Mr. President, with respect to infrastructure, senators continue to make good progress on both tracks of legislation. Members should be prepared to vote again on cloture on the motion to proceed to the bipartisan infrastructure bill as early as tonight. On another matter, yesterday the Senate Appropriations Chairman, Senator Leahy, announced a bipartisan agreement to provide $2.1 billion in emergency supplemental funding to support the Capitol Police, reimburse our National Guard, and make sure all the critical functions of the Capitol complex are properly funded. The toll of January 6th and the impact of COVID had meant that funding for the Capitol Police, the Capitol complex, and even for our National Guard was running low. Capitol Police have been forced to cancel critical training and health services and have had to hold off on buying new, potentially life-saving gear like helmets and body armor and respirators. Thankfully, the bipartisan agreement between the chair and ranking member of the Appropriations Committee will replenish these critical funds and support the hardworking men and women who keep this building, senators, staff, media, and Capitol employees safe. I was pleased to hear the Republican leaders support this supplemental appropriations bill this morning, and I look forward to working with our Republican colleagues to swiftly passing this legislation through the Senate. And I must give accolades to the Rules Committee, led by Senators Klobuchar and Blunt. Their hearings and focus on this issue, the safety of the Capitol, has helped pave the way for the agreement, and we thank them for their continued diligence. Now, one final matter. By the end of today, the Senate will confirm 2 nominees on the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, Gwyn Wilcox and David Prouty. Both are champions for working Americans. Ms. Wilcox, who hails from my home state of New York, I'm proud to say, has spent her career representing workers and unions to exercise their rights to organize. She is one of the nation's leading experts on labor law, and if confirmed, she would make history as the first African-American woman to ever serve on the NLRB. Like Ms. Wilcox, David Prouty has also spent a lifetime defending the rights of organized labor across the country, recently serving as the general counsel of the SEIU, one of the nation's largest unions. Over the course of American history, the labor movement has been the single most powerful force in lifting Americans out of poverty and into the middle class. It was by coming to this country and joining a union that my grandfather entered the middle class and passed on even more opportunity to his children and then to me and my brother and sister. So it is no mistake that as labor union participation has declined over the past few decades, wages have stalled as well, and folks are finding it harder and harder to stay in the middle class. If we're going to strengthen the backbone of the middle class, we need to reinvigorate the labor movement and protect the rights of workers everywhere to organize and bargain collectively for their wages. Appointing these 2 labor champions to the NLRB is a great way to start. And to the American people, the confirmation today of these 2 NLRB labor champions is a direct result of having a Democratic majority in the Senate versus having a Republican majority. Under Leader McConnell and the Republicans, the NLRB, which is typically divided between 2 parties, had only Republican appointees for the first time in its 85-year history. None of them any experience in labor policy. They were almost atavistically against working people and helped management and the big bosses prevent people from organizing and making it harder to stay organized if you were. It was awful. And it's helped one of the reasons that middle-class incomes have not accelerated in the last 2 decades. In fact, the Republicans were so intent on not having the NLRB defend the rights of working people that under Leader McConnell, a Democratic seat on the NLRB was held vacant for nearly 3 years. If the American people want to know which side each party is on, just look at the NLRB. Democrats appointing pro-labor people who fight for higher salaries, higher pensions, higher health benefits. Republicans making sure the NLRB doesn't function and allowing the big bosses to take a dominant role in negotiations with their workers. Even during the years when President Trump was in the White House and Republicans had a majority on the NLRB, Leader McConnell blocked Democrats from appointing a minority member to the board. They didn't even want minority member on the board, even though they would have the majority, the Republicans. It's not a stretch to say, if Democrats had not taken the majority in January, these important posts to the NLRB might never have been filled. So look, Senate Democrats are working with the Biden administration to make sure the National Labor Relations Board does what it's intended to do. Stand up for working Americans, make sure they have a much better chance of getting better wages, better benefits, better pensions. I look forward to confirming these two outstanding nominees later today. Yield the floor and note the absence of quorum.